MBA थर्ड सेमेस्टर का ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज मैनेजमेंट का मैनेजमेंट ऑफ ट्रेनिंग एंड डेवलपमेंट यूनिट 5। ट्रेनिंग इवोल्यूशन क्या था? प्रिंसिपल एंड क्राइटेरिया ऑफ द training evaluate the access a program's effectiveness using the principles like the clarity and the objectivity. Focus on the criteria such as reaction, learning behavior, and the result. Critique practice model and the implied techniques like the survey, test, and the observations and performance metrics to determine the value, improve the future training, and ensure the alignment with business goals. It is a systematic process starting with the objectives and the ending with the actionable insight for the continuous improvement. Principle of the training evaluation: clarity. Understand the evaluation purpose and its expected outcome. Objective: use the measurable standard valued instruments and accurate analysis. Reality: ensure the consistent result regardless of the method of the evaluated. Continuity: evaluation should be ongoing process, not on the time. Specific focus on the clear measurable goals tied to business need. Key criteria and the levels of critical model: reaction, training satisfaction, engagement, and the precipitations perceptions. पहला क्या है? लेवल 1 क्या है? ट्रेनिंग सेटिस्फैक्शन, एंगेजमेंट एंड परसेप्शंस। लर्निंग टूल लेवल 2 क्या है? लर्निंग नॉलेज, स्किल्स और एटीट्यूड गेन। लेवल 3 क्या? बिहेवियर एप्लीकेशन, लर्न ऑफ द जॉब एग्जाम्पल, ऑब्जर्वेशन, परफॉर्मेंस एंड रिव्यू। लेवल 4 क्या? रिजल्ट, बिजनेस इम्पैक्ट एंड प्रोडक्टिविटी, ROI एंड रिड्यूस। कॉमन evaluation techniques and the survey and the questioning. Gather the participants feedback, reactions, and assess the knowledge. Learning, test and quiz. Measure the cognitive knowledge and the skill acquisition. Observation, assess on the job behavior and the skill application. Performance metric, track the business outcome like the sales quality and efficiency. Interview and the focus group, gain qualitative insight for the participants and manager. Return on investment, ROI analysis, calculate the financial benefit against the training cost. Key model, key models, the fundamental 4 level of framework: reaction, learning, behavior, results. CIPP model: context, input, process, a comprehensive approach to the program improvement focus on the context, resources, and the implementation and outcomes. Philippines ROI model क्या है? CIPP model: context, input, process, context input process product, a comprehensive approach to program improvement, the focusing on the context, resources, and implementation and outcome. Phillips ROI model: extend the key metrics by adding in level 5, focus on the financial ROI. By applying these principles, the criteria and the techniques, organization can ensure that training effectively bridge skill gaps and contributes to the strategic goals. Principle of training evaluation. Principle of training evaluation is Satyendra Seth blog. Once we have established the fact that we need to evaluate the training, the evaluation models apparently needs to be governed by the some principle. Evaluation principle establish the necessary ground and direction for the what and when how to evaluate. Evaluation process should be the based on the some sound evaluation principle and list. Clarity. Evaluation to be the clear about the purpose and the expected clarity. Objectivity. Evaluation should have the some objectivity, measurable standard of assignment, designing the value of reliable research institution, accurate the analysis and interpretation of the data to stand the test of time. Reliability. Subjectivity. Analysis of the data may not always produce the reliable result. Thus, the results should confirm the below mentioned aspect. Reliable analysis, the irrespective of the method engage to the gather that the reliable repeatability in terms of result every time. Reliable and the same interpretation by other products and not in for the evaluation should be accepted as the process and not as a training in the product. Tailor evaluation design and the approach should be the tailored according to the training. Blanket approach for the evaluation should be avoided. Feasibility evaluation should be completed within ability resources and should definitely be the cost effective. Integrity evaluation should be conducted in the ethical fashion to ensure appropriate well designed data collection and the interpretive standard. Outcome is a candid, accurate, fair, and a balanced and a comprehensive while reporting. Transparency process to be systematic and justified while the recording and the reporting the evaluation aspect. Utility outcome of the process should be the timely and consisting of the practical information meeting the stakeholder requirement. Validity process should be such that it can be validated as when it required to establish the authenticity of the outcome. If an organization evaluation is is an ongoing process and covering every aspect of the training. Evaluation is carried out during the analysis, design, and the development and the implementation phase. The evaluation is also carried out once the training is completed and the learners have returned back to their routine basics. And purpose of evaluation is to collect and document the learner's performance within the training and while they are on the job. Evaluation is bifurcated into the two categories: formative or internal evaluation is to judge the training session while it is in the progress. The kind of evaluation focus on the process of training, negative the outcome or worth of training. The first and the second level of Kirkpatrick's method of evaluation brings the out of the formative outcome of the training. Summative formative or the internal evaluation is to judge the training session while it is in the progress. The kind of evaluation focus on the process of the training and negating the outcome worth of the training. First and the second level of Kirkpatrick's method of the evaluation bring out the formative outcomes of training. Summative or the external evaluation is to judge the outcome of the worth of the training and the value that is brought in. Third and the fourth level in the critics method of the evaluation brings out the summative worth of training. Concludes the evaluation process adhering the set principle will produce a relevant and authentic outcome basic which organization will be able to make the informed decisions. And evaluation should not be extent and the method deployed should not be the com- cumbersome. It should be the simple, wide, authentic, and the relevant. Principles of evaluation. Suchman here described the evaluation as the integral part of an opening system, means to trainers, training managers of the plan and adjust their training activities in an attempt to increase the probability of the achieving the desired action or the goals. In order to integrate the training practices with the business policy and the objectives, evaluation has to be based on the sound principles such as the trainer evaluator must be clear about the purpose of the evaluation, to be able to set the standard and the criteria for an objective evaluation. The methodology and the criteria of evaluation should be based on the observable and as for the possible measurable standards of the assessment which have been agreed upon the evaluators and users of the training system. Evaluation has to be accepted as the process then and in the product of the training. As a process, it has to be continuous. The one spot assessment cannot be guide and trainers for improving the subsequent programmers. Therefore, it has to be begin before the actual training activity and in much after the conclusion of visual training activity. The training objective should be an outcome of overall organizational goals to permit the tangible evaluation of training result. Data should be the directive rather than the conclusive. It must be the comprehensive enough to guide the trainers in the collection of information that will enable them to comment on current training effectiveness and to improve the subsequent training. A good system is tailor made and should be provided specific data and its strength and the weakness. Generalization drawn from the one training activity may be inapplicable for the training across the different level, and to meet the different standards beside they should refrain from using the single instance for the conclusions and the generalization. A good evaluation system should provide the sufficient scope for the self appraisal by the trainer evaluator. The evaluator data should try to balance the qualitative and the quantitative information. Role of evaluator needs the tone based on the sound working the relationship with the participant trainers, seniors, line managers, and the policy makers. Normally, a researcher or a fresher is attached to a trainer to carry out in the course evaluation. This elevator may have the expertise of developing and designing the evaluate tools and the techniques, but it would be the insufficient in promoting the utilization and evaluation results. Evaluators acceptance by the participants and the interpersonal sensitivity and the trust for the frank sharing of feedback is a must. This would modify the roles as one of the giving and receiving the feedback rather than just receiving the feedback. They have been proactive than the argumentative, effective communication, and the coordination are the essential. Training and evaluation plans should be discussed so that there is a commonality of the purpose amongst of the trainers, the evaluators, and those sponsoring the trainers. What is Training evaluation is the systematic process of analyzing the training program to ensure that it is delivered effectively and efficiently. It helps in identify the training gaps and discover the opportunity for improving the training programs. By collecting the feedback, persons like the trainers and the human resource professionals are able to assess whether the training programs are able to achieve its intended and outcome. If the training materials and the resources uses are aligned with the meet company and industry standard benefits. Evaluating the training allows for the comprehensive feedback on the value of the training programs and the effectiveness in the achieving business goals. It helps the management to better understand and identify the skill gaps to analyze the desired outcomes of the training programs. By the using, the organization can streamline this evaluation process, ensuring the data-driven insight and the continuous improvement. It also helps the organization to tools, labs, and the instruments more for the training evaluation. Kaufman 5 level. The tools, levels, and instruments model for the training evaluation conference 5 member. The Kirkpatrick's model is a globally recognized method of evaluating the result of the training and the learning program. It assesses the both formal and informal training methods and the rates then against the four level of criteria: reaction, learning, behavior, results. Level 1: reaction, learning, behavior, and the result. Reaction, learning. लेवल वन होता है रिएक्शन, रिएक्शन लर्निंग बिहेवियर एंड द रिजल्ट। रिएक्शन लर्निंग बिहेवियर, रिएक्शन लर्निंग बिहेवियर एंड द रिजल्ट। रिएक्शन लर्निंग बिहेवियर एंड द रिजल्ट। द फर्स्ट लेवल ऑफ क्राइटेरिया इज द रिएक्शन विच मेजर्स whether the learners find the training engaging, the favorable, and the relevant to their jobs. This level is most commonly accessible by an of after the training survey, often referred to has a smile sheet that asks the student to rate their experience. A critical components of level 1 analysis is a focus on the learners versus the trainer. While it may feel natural for a facilitator to the facilitate of the training outcomes such as the context or learning environment, the Kirkpatrick's model encourages the survey questions that concentrate on the learners' text, program objectives, course material, content relevance, and the facultative knowledge. Evaluation category क्या है? Programs objectives, course material, content relevance, and the facultative. Program objective में क्या है? This program objectives while the clearly defined, the program objectives were covered by the instruction. The material was the right level of the complexity for the background. Learning center का I understand the learning objectives. I was able to relate each of the learning objectives to the learning achieved. I was appropriately changed by the material. Course materials. The course material were well organized. The course material complemented by the course contents. I found the course materials easy to navigate. I feel that the course material will be essential for my success. Contents relevance. The material was relevant to my needs. I will be able to immediately apply what I learned. Facultative knowledge. The faculty demonstrated a good understanding of the material. The facilitator shared his or her experience in the regards to the contents. My learning by enhancing the knowledge of the facilitator. My learning was enhanced by the experience shared by facilitator. Level 2 learning. Level 2: a gauge of the learning of each participant based on the whether the learners acquire the intent, knowledge, skills, and attitude, confidence, and the commitment to the training. Learning can be evaluated through both the formal and the informal method, and should be evaluated through the pre-learning and post-learning assessment to identify the accuracy and the comprehension. Method of assessment include the exams or interview style evaluation. A defined clear scoring process must be determined in advance to reduce the inconsistencies. Behaviors. Level 3 behavior. One of the most critical steps in the critical models level 3 measures whether the participants was truly impacted by the learning and if they are applying what they are learned. Assessing the behavior change make it possible to know not only whether the skills were understood but if it's logistically possible to use the skills in the workplace. Often the times and the evaluating the behavior and uncovers the issue within the workplace. A lack of behavior change may not mean the training was ineffective, but that the organization current process and the cultural conditions aren't fostering an ideal learning environment for the desired change. Result 4. The final level is 4 is to dedicated the measuring the direct result level for the measuring the learning against the organization. The business outcome the key performance indicator that were established before the learnings was initiated. The common KPIs include the higher returns of the investment and the less workplace accidents and the larger quality of the sales. Using the Kitterpex model create a actionable measurement plan to clarify the define the goals, measures the results, and identify the area of notable impact. Analyzing the data at each level allow the organization to evaluate the relationship between the each level of better understand the training result, and as an added the benefit allows organization to read just the plans and collect the course throughout the learning process. If your organization is ready to take the next step in the learning send us a message. Arrange team of experts will walk you through the viable solution and discuss how to use the Kitterpix model to get the result your team needs. The CIRO 4 level of model evaluates the training and effectiveness through the 4 hierarchies. State the context, identify the training needs and organizational goals, input the session, the programs, design material, and the reaction goal, and the gain participants and satisfaction and output measuring the actual results like the improve the performance or organizational impact developed from the management training. It is the structured approach to understand why training is needed, what it provides, how it is received, and what change as a result. The 4 level explain the context evaluations focus analyzing the organization environment performance the gaps and the strategic objective to determine if the training is needed and what it should be addressed. Question: why is training needed? Input evaluations focus example the training programs that design the context resources and the delivery method. Question: what is the best way to deliver the training? Reaction evaluation focus measuring the participant satisfaction engagement and immediate perceptions of the training. Question: how did the participant feel about the training? Output evaluation or the focus assessing the tangible result and the impact of the individuals, teams, and the organization, such as improve the skills, behavior, or the business metrics. Question: what actual changes and the result occurred? Key factor hierarchies. You must access the context and the input before the reaction and output. Management focus especially designed to evaluate the management training and effectiveness. Comprehensive moves beyond the participant feedback to measure the real business impact. CIRO model, the definitive guide. If you are interested in evaluating the effectiveness of the training courses, you will know the 3 are a number of training evaluation models to choose from. One of the lesser known models is CIRO models, and that's what we will discussing the today. If in this definitive guide, the CIRO model, we will show you the exactly what it is and how it differs from the other training evaluation models. We will explain the how you should apply it and offer the examples of how it looks in the practice. That this tutorial will cover the following areas: what is the CIRO model, what are the levels of the CIRO models, how does the CIRO models work, the key difference between the CIRO models and the model, example of CIRO models in action, the common question of the CIRO model and conclusion. What is CIRO? The CIRO model is a training evaluation model that is used to evaluate the effectiveness of the management training courses. It was developed by the Peter Ward and Michael Bird and the Neil Rackerson, who published the book Evaluation of the Management Training. In 1970, the CIRO model offered the business and the effective evaluating the management training needs and result. In common with other training evaluation models of the CIRO model is a hierarchical, meaning that the practitioners must start at the first of his 4 level before the progressing and slowly through the following levels. In this respect, the CIRO model is similar to other training evaluation model that we have discussed in the past, such as the Kirkpatrick's model and the Phillips ROI model. However, unlike other learning evaluation model, that the CIRO model is especially aimed at the evaluating the management training. This set is apart from the other models that can be applied broadly to the number of different roles and positions within an organization. To understand more about the CIRO model, it is necessary to study its 4 levels in greater details. What are the levels of the CIRO model? CIRO is an acronym that stands for the 4 levels, which make this approach to the learning evaluation: context, input, reaction, and output. As a hierarchical model, you must start by studying the context before the moving through to input, reaction, and output. The first 3 levels of the CIRO model are evaluation, and the fourth level is the outcome or the the result. According to the CIRO model, the prior to assessing the reaction and outcomes, there must be an analysis of the context and the possible input. A fuller description of the CIRO model is as context evaluation, input evaluation, and the reaction evaluation and outcomes. Stage 1 context evaluation. Stage A full description of the CIRO model as पहला context evaluation, दूसरा input और तीसरा reaction evaluation और चौथा output. It looks like the moral detail: context, input, reaction, output. Context, input, reaction, and output. How does the CIRO models work? Now we have looked at what the CIRO model. It is the time to look at how it 4 levels approach work. Context evaluation. At this is a CIRO model is used to assess the operational situation that a business or organization find itself in. This provide the useful information that can be used to determine the training needs and objective. During this, the first stage, a training needs the analysis is the conducted based upon the conditions in the organization. The context evaluation helps to flag up any factors that may have impact on the effect of training. The context evaluation also helps identify and evaluate the training needs. In the CIRO model, needs are based on the collecting the performance deficiency information, that is what the organization is lacking. The identified needs are set at the following 3 levels. The ultimate objective. The goal of ultimate objectives is to eliminate an organizational deficiency such as low sales and the figures, low productivity, and the poor customer service. In intermediate objectives. The intermediate objectives are those that aim to achieve an ultimate objective but may require a change in employees' work behavior. Immediate objective covers things such as acquiring the new skills and the knowledge as a result of the training. It can also include the changing employees' attitude, which leads to them the changing their behavior. Input evaluations. During the second stage of the CIRO model, the practitioners must gather the information about the possible training techniques and the method. This is known as the input evaluation and helps identify the best choice of training intervention. This stage also addresses the design, the planning, management, and delivery of the training courses. It analyzes the organization resources and determines how these resources can best be used to achieve the desired objective. Stage 3 reaction evaluation. The third stage of the CIRO model involves the gathering the view of the participants and collecting suggestions about the training they receive. The training are also to give their reaction to the following aspect: program content, approach, value added. Information gathered at this stage is used to find way to improve the training programs. As this evaluation is subjective, it must be collected in an objective way. Outcome. The stage of the CIRO model involves the presenting the information about the results of the training. The results are presented at the 3 different levels: immediate, intermediate, and ultimate levels. The immediate results include how the trainers got and or whether they managed to complete the training successfully. The intermediate outcomes are those that may take some time to implement, such as changes to the course design or acquiring the new training resources. Outcome at the ultimate levels are the main goals for the organizations and ones that have a far-reaching impact on the organization. As outcomes are evaluated in the terms of what happened as a direct result of training, they can be measured on the following 4 levels: the learners level, workplace levels, the term or the department level, the business level. The choose level will depend on the purpose of evaluation and the available resources. The key difference between the CRO model and the other model. There are a number of key differences between the CRO model and the other training evaluation model. It has the most in the common with the key practice model, which as you may know was developed by the Don Carter-Peace in 1950. The Kicker model is a 4-step strategy for evaluating a course or a training programs. The 4 levels of Kitter practice are reaction, learning, behavior, and the result. Reaction, learning, behavior, result. क्या है लेवल 1? रिएक्शन लर्निंग बिहेवियर रिजल्ट, 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 रिएक्शन लर्निंग बिहेवियर रिजल्ट. You will notice that the level 1 reaction is the Kicker-Press model is similar to the stage 3 of the CRO model, the reaction evaluation. However, there are a number of key differences between the way that each model assesses participants' reactions and what if does with the information. With the key practice model, you are going the participants reaction to the training for the sole purpose of identifying whether the condition for learners were met. You would want to find out how the trainees reacted to aspects of the training, such as the trainers, the venue, and the resources provided. In the CRO model, the a greater emphasis is placed on gathering the suggestion for how to change aspects of training. The goal is to find out whether the format could be changed and which part of the training the participants through could be improved. Another key difference between the CRO model and the kick practice model is the outcome stage. In the kick practice models, you will receive the outcomes in the four levels: learning, behavior, and results. For example, let's see you are running the customer service training for your employees. Using the kick practice model, you would find the following: level of reaction. This level would be show you how your employees responded to the training that looks took place. What did they think of the instruction? How did they find the venue where the right conditions for the learning in the place? Learning kya? This level would be the give you the result about the whether the learning took place during the customer service training courses. Managers of the courses instruction could give the participants in a short quiz or a test before and after the training. Comparing the two sets of the result would show what if any learning took place during the training. Behavior learning. This level would show you whether the trainers were using their new skills and the knowledge at the workplace using a variety of techniques such as peer observation or the manager observation. You would look the employee work as assess to what extent they were using the skills and the knowledge that they gained from the training. For example, you could look at how they were answering the phone, whether they were confidently answering the customer question, and whether they were using the techniques they were taught during the training during their day-to-day work. Result: the fourth critical level would be the so the whether the training meet the stakeholder expectation. For the instance, if the stakeholder expected to see improve the levels of the customer satisfaction, you would conduct a customer survey to see whether the company's responses had improved. You could present this data to the management to show the value that the training had added. As you can see, the CRO model stage 4 outcome standards. These three levels in the Kikapes model: learning, behavior, and the result. The other main difference between the CIRO and the Kitarashi model is that the CIRO focus on the measurements taken before and after the training has been carried out, whereas the Kickbacks model focus mainly on the summative training. Example of the CIRO model in the action. No definite guide would be the complete with an example of the CIRO model in action. For this example, let's imagine that the software company specialization in the management software is looking to find a way to boost their sales. They decide to use the CRO models to develop their plans, they set their goals, and choose the right training courses. Strategy: the context evaluation. The management would begin by the determining the training needs and then the developing the objectives that help the company meet is the goal of improving the sales. By conducting a training needs analysis, the company identifies that the product knowledge of their sales team is lacking. They set their objective as follows: the ultimate objective to help the improve the software sales; immediate objective to encourage the sales staff to research the latest software updates and developments; immediate objective to boost the product knowledge among the sales team members. Stage input evaluation. During the stage, the company would analyze the various training courses and wage of the cost and length of each one. They will determine which courses would the best achieve the desired objective based on their the budgetary and the contrast and the other requirements. Reaction evaluation. After the conducting the training, the company would ask the sales team members to complete a survey or questioning. The data from this the evaluation would be the used to help the company decide whether the training offer the value for the money and what the changes may be made to future training session. The CIRO models reaction evaluation show you whether the condition for the learning were present in the training. Stage 4 outcomes. The fourth stage of the CIRO model look at what the learning took place and whether this learning made an impact on the employee's work. You would be the looking at what happened at the direct result of the training and whether the managers were implementing the tools and the techniques they learn during their working hours. At a senior management, the levels manager could investigate an organization revenue to see whether the sales figures had improved. Lastly, the managers would present the result from the trading and determine whether the ultimate level, intermediate, and the goals were met. Conclusion: overall, the CRO model has many unique advantages over the other types of learning evaluation models, such as the kickers models, the data collection requirements, and the similars are therefore the faster and the most cost effective. However, the CRO model is especially aimed at the evaluating the management training courses, and it is not designed to evaluate the effectiveness of the other types to training or the coaching program. If you are ready to find how to code survey can help to you to evaluate the effectiveness of your training programs and the learning journey, request a demo with one of our experts today. The Philippines 5 level model of developed by the Jack Philippines expanded the Donald Kekepis the 4 level model by adding the fifth level return on investment to evaluate ROI, evaluate the training programs, measure the reaction learning application impact and ROI, reaction learning and application impact and ROI, financial benefit versus cost to qualify the इसका 5 गो लेवल क्या है रिएक्शन लर्निंग एप्लीकेशन इम्पैक्ट एंड आरओआई रिएक्शन लर्निंग एप्लीकेशन इम्पैक्ट एंड आरओआई रिएक्शन होगा रिएक्शन लर्निंग एप्लीकेशन इम्पैक्ट एंड आरओआई रिएक्शन लर्निंग एप्लीकेशन इम्पैक्ट ऑन and ROI reaction learning application impact 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 and ROI financial benefit versus the cost to qualify quantity to monetary value and the business effectiveness of the training beyond the simple satisfaction reaction learning applications impact and ROI reaction learning application impact and ROI reaction learning application impact and ROI reaction learning application impact ROI reaction measures the participant satisfaction perception of the trainer materials content through the feedback from the survey learning assess if the participant gained the intended knowledge skills or the attitude through the test or assessments application or the behavior determines if the participants are allowing what they learned on the job through the observation or the performance review impact result measures the tangible effect of the training or the business outcomes such as increase the productivity reduce the cost or improve quality ROI return of investment compare the monetary benefit from the level for the total cost of the training develop the delivery time to calculate the financial return. Thank you once again. जैक the Philippines 5 level क्या था रिएक्शन लर्निंग एप्लीकेशन इम्पैक्ट और ROI रिएक्शन लर्निंग इम्पैक्ट और ROI रिएक्शन लर्निंग एप्लीकेशन इम्पैक्ट और ROI रिएक्शन लर्निंग एप्लीकेशन इम्पैक्ट एंड ROI और इसमें एक था ना इसका 4 स्टेजेस था ना CRM का रिएक्शन लर्निंग बिहेवियर रिजल्ट रिएक्शन लर्निंग एंड बिहेवियर रिजल्ट. थैंक यू गाइज.